So I want to talk to you today about the divine feminine and the divine masculine in Hinduism. And I want to talk about the cases of Shakti, Kali, Durga, and Lakshmi. So what we're going to explore here is kind of profound in a different way, right? There is this idea of complementarity. You have the divine balance of masculine and feminine energies in a lot of different faiths, but Hinduism particularly, right? And with a focus on Shakti, which is the cosmic feminine force, and her manifestations as Kali, Durga, Lakshmi, and other powerful goddesses. This isn't just a discussion of goddesses and gods as mythological figures. This is about how Hindu theology conceptualizes energy, creation, power, and balance. So let's set the stage. Let's talk about Hinduism's cosmic vision. When we set our cosmic stage, we know that the ultimate reality is Brahman, formless, infinite consciousness. But for us to understand and relate to this vast concept, Brahman manifests in more graspable forms as deities, or maybe you might even call them avatars, representing different aspects of the cosmos. Now, here's the key. These deities are not just male gods and female goddesses, not at least in the mythological sense. They represent cosmic principles, forces of nature, dimensions of consciousness. The divine masculine is often associated with stillness, consciousness, awareness, which is represented by gods like Shiva, Vishnu, and Brahma. The divine feminine, known as Shakti, is the dynamic force, the movement, the creative, mothering energy that animates everything. Without Shakti, the masculine is like a motionless body. Without the masculine, Shakti is a power without direction. So they're not opposites. They are very complementary. They're very interdependent. They complete each other. So let's look at Shakti, the power behind the cosmos. The word Shakti literally means power or ability. In philosophical terms, Shakti is the primordial energy from which everything emerges: time, space, matter, consciousness, perhaps even quantum existence. She's not just the consort of the male deities, she's the energy that makes them effective. Shiva, without Shakti, it is said, is Shava, a corpse. In Shaktism, a major branch of Hinduism, Shakti is supreme. She's not secondary. She is Adi Shakti, the original power, the divine mother of all things. Think about that. A religious tradition that places the feminine principle as the source of creation itself, and that as a concept is incredibly powerful. So now what about the divine dance between the two? The complementarity of feminine and masculine. So how do these energies work together? We see this often beautifully symbolized in the form of Ardhanarishvara, right? Which is a deity that's half Shiva, half Shakti. One body, two energies. This image is not just symbolic, it's metaphysical. It reminds us that balance is essential, that masculine and feminine are both needed for creation, preservation, and transformation. In other words, it's not at all a battle of the sexes. It's a cosmic dance of collaboration. So let's now examine manifestations of the divine feminine, Kali, Durga, and Lakshmi. So when we dive deeper into the specific forms of the divine feminine, each one representing a different aspect of cosmic energy in human experience, we're going to see some of the ways that they differ. We have Kali first, the fierce force of transformation. When we begin with Kali, she's arguably one of the misunderstood goddesses in the Hindu pantheon. She's portrayed as wild, with matted hair, a blood-red tongue, a necklace of skulls, and a skirt of seven arms. She dances on top of Shiva. Terrifying? Maybe, at first glance, but let's look closer. Kali represents time, death, the destruction of ego. She's not really here to hurt us. She's here to liberate us. How? She destroys illusions, false identities, and attachments. She shows us that death is not the end. It's a beginning, a gateway to rebirth. In tantric traditions, Kali is most deeply revered because she helps the seeker confront fear and move beyond limitations of the material world. So yes, she's fierce, but also compassionate in a much deeper sense. She will destroy what binds you to free your soul. Let's now turn to Durga, the protector and the restorer of Dharma. So up next is Durga, the warrior goddess. She rides a lion or tiger, has multiple arms, and each holds a divine weapon and a gaze that commands respect. Durga was born from the combined energies of the gods to defeat a powerful demon, Mahisahura, who could not be conquered by any man or god. So she represents righteous strength, divine justice, and the protection of the cosmic order, that which we call Dharma. Durga's power is balanced, poised, and graceful, but deadly when needed. She protects the innocent, she destroys evil, and she restores balance. Every year, during Navaratri, millions of people celebrate her through music, dance, prayer, and storytelling. Now let's turn to Lakshmi, the bringer of prosperity and harmony. Lakshmi is a gentle, radiant being that is seated or standing on a lotus flower. She is the goddess of wealth, abundance, beauty, and spiritual prosperity. But Lakshmi is much more than just a bringer of gold and riches. She represents the balance, she represents grace, gratitude, and dignity. Her association with Vishnu, the preserver, reinforces her role in sustaining harmony, born within the cosmos and in our own lives. During Diwali, the Festival of Lights, we invoke her presence to illuminate not just our homes, but our hearts and minds. And in this sense, she really is one that we can turn to when we really want to achieve that just amount of equilibrium in our lives, right? So now, beyond Kali, Durga, and Lakshmi, Hinduism reveals a vast landscape of primordial feminine energies. The first we have are the Mahavidyas, the 10 wisdom goddesses, each representing a different aspect of reality: desire, death, time, illusion, enlightenment. We also have the Saptamatrikas, the 7 mothers, who symbolize different facets of power and psychological archetypes. We also have the Kundalini, the coiled serpent energy, which is at the base of the spine in yoga. And this is supposed to be Shakti herself, waiting to rise and unite with divine consciousness. In sacred texts like the Devi Mahatmyam and the Devi Bhagavata Purana, the goddess is portrayed as everything: creator, sustainer, destroyer. She is the womb of the universe. She's not a character. She is consciousness in motion. So what are the theological and social implications of how this sort of system works, right? Our reverence for the feminine tells us a lot of things. Philosophically, it tells us that true power is not in domination, but it must be nurturing, it must be creative, it must be transformative. That destruction can be in service of rebirth. That strength and grace can and must coexist. So socially, there is a paradox. While Hindu theology elevates the feminine divine, historically, women have faced systemic inequities. Modern thinkers, mystics, and feminists are reclaiming the power of these goddess traditions. What was it that Auntie Maxine said, reclaiming my time? They're reminding us that divinity is not limited by gender, that Shakti is within all of us, regardless of sex or identity, and that perhaps all of us need to find balance in both sides. So what's the conclusion? What's the takeaway? Hinduism, in this sense, offers us a vision of the universe where masculine and feminine are not in conflict, but in dynamic harmony. One cannot exist or function without the other. But at a time where marriages may be at an all-time high, we need to really think about the fact that we have to embrace balance. And in this sense, we need to embrace the divine feminine. We have to have intuition, courage, and creativity. Whether we see that divine feminine as Kali, Durga, Lakshmi, or the formless Adi Shakti, the message is clear. The universe is not made by power alone, but by the power of love, wisdom, and transformation. In a world that often forgets this balance, perhaps the time has come for all of us, regardless of gender, to listen to the wisdom of the Divine Mother once more. Thank you. Please don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more content.